Moving on to our weekly focus, South Korean online platform giant Naver has been facing pressure from the Japanese government to sell its shares in Tokyo-based Line Yahoo, the operator of Japan's popular messaging app. And it no longer seems to be just a business issue. For more, we are joined by our business correspondent, Park Kun-woo. Welcome, Kun-woo.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Kun-woo, so I want to first ask you, how has this line issue expanded to a political and also a diplomatic problem?
So Eugene, first of all, the Japanese government gave administrative guidance to Line Yahoo twice in 2024, advising it to reorganize its shareholding structure in order to prevent security issues. Japan's main concern is a Korean company having access as a shareholder to the personal information of Japanese users of Line due to a data leak last year, making it a political issue here in South Korea. Opposition parties criticized the government for taking a passive attitude instead of speaking up for a Korean company, while the ruling People Power Party said opposition parties were driving anti-Japanese sentiment. Since then, the government has delivered a stronger message, saying that it would do all that it can to support Naver.
The government's response has so far reflected Naver's position as much as possible, and it will continue to support Naver with any future developments. We will respond firmly and strongly to unfair measures that go against a Korean company's stance.
Right, so this has been the Korean government's response. So how has Japan reacted to this issue?
Actually, on Tuesday, the Japanese government reiterated that its aim is to prevent similar cases from happening again, but also said reorganization of the shareholding structure is still on the agenda. One expert shared his thoughts on why Japan issued the administrative guidance.
Expectations that the Japanese shareholder would become the majority shareholder over Naver led to a sudden rise of 7% in the approval rating for the Japanese government.
He added it could be part of a political strategy by Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and the ruling party to extend their terms after the elections later this year.
Right, so Kun-woo, could you tell us a bit more about this Line case? Walk us through.
Of course, Eugene. So if you take a look at the screen, Line Yahoo's major shareholder, A Holdings, is a joint venture between Naver and Japan's SoftBank with an even split of 50-50. And that's quite unusual, as joint ventures usually proportion shares in order to avoid a situation where one firm could take full control. One other thing is that the messenger app Line is popular among Japanese people with a total of around 96 million users, meaning 8 out of 10 Japanese people are using this app. And Line has been expanding its business to become a provider of news, music, digital payment, and more. In November last year, there was a personal information leak involving more than 500,000 users. As a result, Japan directed Line Yahoo in March to review its capital relationship with Naver to prevent it from happening again. Though Naver responded with a report containing preventive measures, Japan gave administrative guidance for an unprecedented second time in April. So Naver has to submit a report again to the Japanese government by July 1st. That's different from what happened with Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation, or NTT, which had a leak on a much larger scale with over 9 million users affected between 2013 and 2023. In that case, the Japanese government accepted improvement measures proposed by NTT.
I see. So wrapping up, I think Kun-woo, eyes are on what Naver's next moves will be. So are there any predictions as well as concerns?
So Eugene, Naver is now open to all possibilities, including selling shares to SoftBank. So we'll have to wait and see if the company will actually do so. Pundits say Naver's value within Line Yahoo is around 8 trillion won, or over $5.8 billion US, and a sale would allow Naver to invest in the AI sector where they have been recently focusing. Naver's labor union expressed concern over job cuts and the loss of company tech and know-how if it sells. But the government recently said selling shares will not be included in the report to be submitted in July, meaning Naver has some more time to consider the issue. And apart from that, an expert said selling shares can actually cause a bigger problem.
This could become a precedent of Japanese firms exploiting Korean firms' technology, which can happen again and again, and it can actually intensify anti-Korean sentiment.
He was also concerned about Naver having to give up its services not only in Japan, but also in other regions such as Southeast Asia. The expert added if Naver's case does become a precedent, it will not be helpful for Japan either, as there's the possibility that firms from other countries will be wary about creating joint ventures with Japanese companies.
All right, I think that we'll just have to wait and see on how the situation will unfold. All right, Kun-woo, thank you so much for your report today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.